Hi, this is Christyl Blue, and I'm back to just film the additional part of the fog veiled card to specifically talk about the herb oracle card that came out, as well as to incorporate in um, a crystal card or two, depending on what spirit wants. I'm going to pull in a chakra card or two that comes out, and then I'll close with the Oceanic Tarot card in relation to fog veiled. Okay, so I'm going to set this card out here. Keep in mind what I said for almost 2 hours about this card. Um, and, I incorporated some of my experience all the way back to around 9/11 for a reason, because this is what was being blocked purposely in different ways. And I didn't know it. I mean, I wouldn't have known it unless I lived through it and saw how the devil works, essentially. So there are many masters that have walked on this earth and had to overcome this type of energy too. I'm not the only one, obviously. And I don't profess to be all knowing about it either. I'm still learning the ins and outs of the veil, because Satan is very tricky and also very desperate at this late juncture. And as we shift to the new human, it's a new paradigm, it's a new shift, a new way of living on the planet, which means that new beings are incarnating that are already geared, so to speak, to survive and thrive on this planet. It's the old ones that aren't, that are like the dinosaurs, okay? And there's also interference from other beings that might look like us in human skin but aren't. And then there is, as it says in the Holy Diver song by Ronnie James Dio, or Dio, that, there's some things in life can never be seen or can't be seen. I forget the exact lyrics, but you can refer to I think it's the full moon partial lunar eclipse reading with the Tarot of Nostradamus cards, where I cite that energy because I felt that energy. And, it'll raise the hair on your back and then some. So it's not humane. And I talked about predation and human trafficking and child trafficking and exploitation, essentially, of all kinds, in my estimation, are all co-related and correlated. It's not just to make it easier to correlate things. It's just when you deal with the energy and then you see what's quote unquote sounding in the environment over and over again with the same patterns and same problems or similar problems, it becomes easier and easier and clearer to cut through Satan's veil of illusion, or his veils. Okay. And that's why the angels are around us so much. If you only knew how close they are to us, you just have to ask for help, okay? So, and I didn't even have to ask for help like out loud. I don't recall specifically calling an archangel to help me, but they knew how afraid I was at the time. I don't have that fear like I had. because I am protected. But back then, um, I let my guard down. I opened my heart up to what I should not have opened my heart up to. And I've also said elsewhere that I forgave, like Christ, we're taught as Christians to forgive, but I needed to remember and not forget why I left the first time around in 2002. And that meaning the relationship that I was on. I got off and I should have stayed off. Okay? But, but that's where I talk about seeing it from a different vantage point the second time around and then learning what I've learned. So, I talked about the gold ray of Christ card from the Ascension deck. The Ascension cards Accelerate Your Journey to the Light by Diana Cooper. And I want to just talk briefly about some of the cards that I see here. Okay, I mean, they're all really good. And I bought this deck for my birthday when I was out in Utah spending time with my mom. And overcoming a lot of this deception. But remember that, those generations have been deceived also, and many of them were born during or at the end of World War II. So that energy was also in the air, and there was poverty along with the militarism and discrimination, degradation, the city life, rough streets, etc. So I did come from a bit of a scrappy family in so many terms, right? However you want to say it. I'm a bit scrappy too. So I've had to learn to be that way. And then I gained some more street smarts along with my book smarts. But remember, this is the card that came through love and compassion as one of the top of the deck cards. And so some of the top of the deck cards for the Ascension deck that I just showed involve Kuan Yin energy. So if you don't resonate with the gold ray of Christ, perhaps you will Kuan Yin. Or behind Kuan Yin is Serapis Bey. And Serapis Bey was coming through some of my familial readings when I was spending time out there with her. And he's affiliated with Atlantis and the pyramids as well, and Archangel Metatron. Kuan Yin is a divine feminine re-empowering power, and she's helping men get back in touch with their feminine side. And then also animals is another card. So if you can't relate to these beings that you can't see or feel or intuit, surely you can see, feel, and put yourself in the place of the animals who are suffering on our planet, unnecessarily so, the majority of the time. And when you think back 20 years ago, this was not extreme like it is now. So it's because we've had protracted war on our planet since 9/11. And then before that, we know that it was being contrived and manipulated as early as 1991 under the George Herbert Walker Bush administration. So, so I wanted to read, because this color pink is coming through, along with these prayers to strengthen your faith that I read in the third part, the 2-hour-long part, Psalms 57:1, Psalm 32:7, and Psalm 143:8 through 10. Looks like 8.10, reminding us of how important God is in our life. You are my hiding place. You protect me from trouble. You surround me with songs of victory. One of the songs I like to post a lot, well, not a lot, but when it really gets me is, and it's so relevant, is Fight the Good Fight by Triumph, okay? And so, you know, the music of the 70s and the early 80s was developed and inspired by the things that were transpiring when I was a kid, as I became a teenager and was wondering about different administrations and their policies, including the Nixon administration in America initially, because I wasn't born until 1965. So I was old enough by then to know there was something not right, okay? And I paid close attention. And I also paid close attention to the music at that time. And then it was the Ford and Carter administrations, and then the Reagan administration when I was in high school. And I was starting to put a few of the pieces of the puzzle together, but certainly, as I wrote in my book, Pass Forward, it seemed like war was dying down and there wasn't really a whole lot going on, except for, over in the Falkland Islands in regard to Britain. But Britain is coming through in my full moon partial lunar eclipse reading in terms of the unicorn energy and what Nostradamus has to say about the 2 unicorns in one of his quatrains. So be sure to listen to that particular reading of mine, the full moon partial lunar eclipse in Taurus, okay? So I'm not going to read all of these, but I do want to read about, I'll read the affirmations down below. For the Kuan Yin card, which is 43, which happens to be a similar numerology to the Winged Wise One here from the Wisdom from the Hidden Realm by Colette Barron Reid. That one's number 34, okay? So, Kuan Yin, 4334, similar energy, okay? I act from my divine feminine wisdom. And this person on the card is very feminine and she's got wings, okay? So she, in my estimation, is representative of divine feminine wisdom coming through angelically. And then you see the dove here. And there was also a dove coming through on this card of hope. Archangel Haniel, which is also feminine. I believe Haniel is spelled a couple different ways, I-E-L and A-E-L. And this is feminine energy, which is about hope, not about weapons. Okay? And the other winged wise being is this one that was at the top of the deck of the Earth Magic Oracle. And that is of the symbol of the United States of America. Okay, not to deunite us with weapons of mass destruction and lies about national security. Okay? So these are winged wise ones coming through in animal form and angelic form as well. And I'll take pictures of this, but this is about love, okay? And compassion, which is what Kuan Yin, I posted on my website, Science, Spirituality, University.com. I posted about Kuan Yin's energy and message around the 4th of July of 2019. You can still find it there as long as that website's up. Eventually it's going to come down though because I'm moving on to do other things. Serapis Bay is also coming through other people's readings from the UK in relation to policy and policies from the Reagan administration era. So Serapis Bay was a keeper of the White Ascension Flame in Atlantis. Okay? And is now Chohan of the fourth ray of harmony. So this is what we're shooting for now, is harmony on the planet, not more war. Okay? And you have to be heart-centered to be harmonious. And we know animals are, but we know many humans that are harming animals and humans are heartless. Okay? Like humans, animals have come to the earth on their own soul journey. So why would any of us think it's okay to harm them? It's their life and their journey on our planet. Okay? Because they are heart-centered, animals on this planet are designed to have experiences different from ours. That doesn't mean you drag them behind a vehicle because they don't do what you want them to do, nor do you abuse a human like that. But that's what's happened in wartime overseas, right? So, it's monkey see, monkey do. And the more we protract war and put it out on TV and internet for everybody to see 24/7, what do you think has happened? People are behaving like that which is being televised. So we definitely need to say some prayers and ask for guidance, right? Be merciful to me, O God, for in you my soul takes refuge, in the shadow of your wings. So there's the reference of the wings again. God. So God is a winged one. I will take refuge until the storms of destruction pass by. Okay. Psalm 57:1. Show me the way I should go. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. May your good spirit lead me on level ground. And this is what I was trying to find when things became very unstable and very scary for me as I disconnected from a marriage and essentially the war machine. Okay? So, but that war machine, I didn't know had a piece of my soul that I was taking back. and you don't even realize that that's what's happening. But my son and I have since found documentation that actually talks about that. I can't think of the reference right now, but it's posted on our Facebook site, Greenhouse Refugees. So you can still find that on Facebook. And I wanted to talk about this walrus card. Okay, remain vigilant. This is what we had to do. We didn't know that we would even have to be so vigilant, but it was like dealing with a war scenario repeatedly over a number of years and across state lines, which is, by the way, illegal in the United States under the U.S. Constitution. So remain vigilant about the current situation, pay attention to signs and omens, and let them dictate your choices. Because what I've discovered along the way too is there's this is what it kind of reminds me of, this intertwining snake. Yes, it can be representative, as I've said in a past reading, of the caduceus coil that represents our U.S. medical system, right? The symbol or symbology. But also, this is, in my estimation, talking about the root issue of almost like a piracy of our DNA and pirating our energy, which is our light, which is our chakras energy, all the way up to our crown chakra and the higher chakras, the 12 chakras that were available to us before the fall of Atlantis. And that card was coming through in relation to nature at the top of this deck, of the Ascension deck, okay? The 12 chakras. Following the fall of Atlantis, 5 of our 12 chakras closed. Ask the angels to sing over you so that your chakras will vibrate at a 5D frequency. Affirm this. I awaken my 12 fifth dimensional chakras. Make that your mantra. That's the number 1 card. And so is, well, the nature card is the number 3, which is like the Trinity. I thank, bless, and love the entire nature kingdom. Okay, you can say that chakra or that mantra if you don't resonate so much with the love and compassion from Master Kuan Yin. And the number 43, which is a 7, or Serapis Bay, also of Atlantis. 41, which is a 5. 7 and 5 together makes up 12, which is a 3. Or the animals, which is a number 2 card of balance. Okay, so I'm giving you ideas here. I'm also going to pull in a couple chakra cards and we'll see what comes out. So there are a number of Ascended Master retreats that you can also seek help in during your dream or sleep state. And I've actually seen myself in school while I'm sleeping, okay? The affirmation is, I walk with Ascended Masters. So there's levels to this. 49 is 13, which adds up to a 4 also, okay? And I have a little wild animal on my bed. Okay, so we're going to do the chakras cards toward the end there. But keep in mind that there is DNA manipulation happening medically, and also there's karma involving our ancestral past and curses. I mean, I was learning all of this stuff, and I'm like, what the hell? You know, what am I really dealing with here? I thought I was just working for the government and raising my child and enjoying my life. And then, boy, did things change almost on a dime by 2010. 2011 actually was where it got really difficult, really actually quite scary. And that's when I almost lost my ability to walk on this planet. So the number one, which I talked about, the number one, which card was it? The nature card. It wasn't the nature card. Which one was it? The 12 chakras card. Sorry, 12 chakras of Atlantis card. So we have a number one card here. And that's where the abundance is going to come from, by the way, is getting back in tune with nature and realigning with your 12 chakras. And that's what I've been intuitively teaching even before my readings started showing this Atlantean Egyptian influence and the DNA karma issue. So these are submerged issues, if you will, that are coming up, which is why we must remain very vigilant right now. And that's what I was learning even through social work, seeing a social worker with my young son around 9/11. Okay, so it's interesting that these cards are speaking to me so far back, but there's a lot of time that has passed and a lot of deception involved. So I'm going to read this card first. If you can see behind me, I have a little kissy face who wants to play. He sleeps and then he wakes up and he wants my undivided attention. He wants to know what I'm doing. Okay, see, yeah, now he's looking on me. You can go lay down. Okay, so the abundance card is this. He's trying to figure out what the headphones are. All right. Abundance, the wild yam. Dioscorea villosa is the botanical name. The oracle meanings for this card are there is an indication of an increase in resources for you. Situations should be turning into a positive outcome and staying that way. If you are looking for an answer, it is yes. An addition to your family or circle of friends, or even a new facet of life could be coming along shortly, which is what, when you align, when you distance yourself and ask Archangel Michael and the other angels, the winged wise ones, for assistance to cut those cords to this kind of karmic problem that we've had to go through as individuals and nation and beings on our planet to evolve. Only then, once you've addressed things in order, will you reach this point. An addition to your family or circle of friends, or even a new facet of life, could be coming along shortly. So we just have to get through this vulnerable winter solstice period, in my estimation, and based on previous information coming through about the goddess energy, the three goddesses that came through that you'll find posted right before this reading. So make very sure you share any good fortune that may come your way, and also be careful of overindulgence, obsession, pipe dreams, and waste. The botanical description for wild yam is that this is a tuber that is native to Central and North America. So we're talking about the Central and North America area, which is what I've been talking about in the introduction in relation to war, Central America, and a lot of it is war-torn, okay? The wild yam is a perennial twining vine. Get back. Oh, he's sleepy. Okay, I just didn't want him to knock the candle off. Okay, a tuber that is native to Central and North America. This wild yam is a perennial twining vine. So if you've ever looked at vines, they're pretty cool. They have these little arms, if you will, that wind around and grab a hold so that they can reach for the sun. And that's what I suggest for you. Okay, this twining vine does well in full sun and rich soil, which is nutrient rich. It is found growing naturally in bordering woodlands and sandy thickets and prairies. Its uses can be for healing, for childbirth, for love increases, or for love and increases, and fertility. The deities associated with the wild yam are Aphrodite, Venus, and Freya. And the planet associated with this wild yam is Venus, which is about love, okay? And Venusian energy, which is what Jesus is associated with the planet of Venus as well, I believe. And Freya is coming through the goddess reading, the one that I posted right before this one. And so make sure you see that, because that's bringing in the timeline that I just mentioned in relation to 3 goddesses. Freya is the February time period. So you may see this shift in a more positive outcome for your family, addition to family, circle of friends, or even a new facet of life coming along. Since it's talking about Freya, I would suggest that you focus on getting through January into February. Okay? And so that makes sense to me, even before I read the bottom part of that card. There's more there, but if you want a specific reading, I'll be glad to talk to you about that and about herbs in relation to your healing, okay? Because we are healing a lot of toxicity within us and on our planet. And it's going to require a lot of love, right? A lot of love and compassion. And, you know, icebergs are made of water, right? And water represents emotion. So there's a lot of emotions that have been buried, and that can cause people to be emotionally imbalanced, of course, right? So we have to bring these emotions up, but we have to do it in a careful way. And that's why God is merciful, because we're growing, right? We're growing as a species. We're learning. And it's painful to learn, okay? It's painful learning. It's painful for everybody. But that's what the Winter Solstice card is helping remind us to reflect. And to reflect, you have to look at yourself like this mirror image, right? You have to look at what's going on within, and this reflection is on water, right? On the water, in the water. I'll try to post the Masaru Emoto information as well, because a lot of that information was coming my direction when I was over in Europe trying to rebuild family, not knowing there was this whole other part of military life and plotting and scheming of destruction, essentially, of family, that, you know, cuts out love and attacks the heart, by the way. You'll see that on my book cover, actually. And I was over there in Europe at Ramstein Air Force Base during Christmas of 2007, and we spent time over in Paris, in the City of Lights, and I think they call it the City of Love too, over the New Year's Eve holiday, 2007 into 2008. So, you know, it was at this time where I was also thinking about Christ and Christmas and why, you know, people celebrate Christmas and then go back to resuming war. And there were a lot of casualties coming through that base and Landstuhl, not far from there. So, you know, I was really thinking about a lot of these things back then. And obviously, Spirit had me retracing my steps so that I would learn just why. Okay, so there is an earth force, and you can see these crop circles, or this crop circle down there in the ag field. So this reminds me of like England, actually, where there's a lot of those kinds of designs that are being discovered more often. This got wet. That's too bad. Okay. So I'm going to put these together. I just want to make sure I talked about them. Remember or recall Archangel Raphael as angel of healing. And so we're trying to heal the earth from just such toxicity that the winged wise ones were helping me deal with as I essentially learned what I was involved with through the veils of illusion and the fog from San Francisco over to Europe, essentially, because I was living and working in and around the Bay Area at that time. Okay, so I'm going to ask Spirit for some crystal advice. Hey, lie down. Sorry. Crystal advice, please, in relation to remaining vigilant about the current situation. Oh. Okay, we have Mookaite Jasper, number 3, which is orange. That has to do with the sacral chakra. And Nirvana Quartz. Okay, so quartz is healing energy too. Nirvana Quartz 29, which is 11. Mookaite Jasper, number 3. And I can give you specific information on those. The bottom of the deck is Moldavite, which I think has an otherworldly origin to it. Okay. Pink granite is below that, and Menelite. This is representative of, I think, the goddess energy. Menelite, number 40. So that's coming through, as is lavender aragonite, number 37. And I talk about lavender aragonite on my website in one of the readings as well. So we have lavender and pink. We also have pink here with these psalm cards, and the lavender, amethyst, Veracruz, true cross, Lemurian amethyst here. So these are the bottom of the deck cards, still in relation to Moldavite. Look up Moldavite. I think you'll be surprised to learn about its origins. It's the number 34. The number 34 and 43, again, we're coming through. The number 34 is coming through the winged wise ones. Okay, that card is a number 34 also. So the bottom of the deck card for the Crystal Wisdom Healing Oracle by Judy Hall is strongly correlating to the Wisdom of the Hidden Realm, or Wisdom from the Hidden Realm card number 34, about the winged wise ones involving the eagle, the United States, the Indian, the Aboriginal Indian or Native American Indian. We also have Central and North America coming through here in this reading that I just read about in relation to the number 1 wild yam card, okay, and its uses. So 3443, the number 1 card, the wild yam, correlates also to the 12 chakras card, right? And 12 chakras are in correlation with Atlantis, pre-Egypt, and the fall of Atlantis, and then the building up of the Egyptian civilization that's associated with Serapis Bay. Okay, so you can see some of these correlations. They're pretty easy to make once you start making the necessary numerological associations as well. So pink, lavender, and orange, that's a sacral chakra. Lavender has to do with the higher chakras, specifically the crown chakra, which is, it's not a light lavender, but it's purple. And both of these cards, the borders are pink and purple as well. So, and I also mentioned my full moon and new moon in Scorpio readings, and the big change in 6 months during 2021 involving Scorpio and the pink supermoon. So yeah, there's some strong astrological correlation, and the fact that the angels are helping protect us from destruction, to keep us protected and from trouble, and keeping us on a level ground, not rubble. Okay, but we still must be vigilant. Okay, so I'll take pictures of these over the Christmas holiday. About what has been veiled, and just obviously why angelic help is around us and was around me when I so needed it. Okay. So we're reflecting at this winter solstice, just as I am personally, about these submerged, icy, dangerous issues that can wreck your ship and your relationships that we must constantly remain vigilant about. It's tiresome, I can tell you. It's very tiresome to me and has been. So it's very important to stay heart-centered as you make these decisions each day to remain peaceful. So the chakra card in relation to animals, Kuan Yin, Serapis Bay, protecting our world from destruction. I love these chakra wisdom oracle cards too. It shows like a little Red Riding Hood. Actually, it's a little purple Riding Hood walking on her path through the chakra land. Almost like Candyland, but chakra land. It's very cute. Should make a board game like this. Spirit, are there any other chakras in association with the crystal cards that came out? The colors pink, purple, and orange specifically in relation to the crown chakra, the heart chakra, which can also correlate to, Kuan Yin and compassion, just as compassion is in correlation with Jesus and Mary Magdalene, the twin flames. I don't know the twin flame name for Mary Magdalene, other than I think she's just still referred to as Mary Magdalene as a goddess in some of the divine feminine decks. But Jesus' higher self is named Sananda. Okay. So, yeah. So this was coming through in the pre-shuffle pretty strongly, this vanity card. And he looks like Moses coming down. Or with a scepter, God. Trying to get the attention of these egomaniacs, essentially, the narcissists, which I've also correlated just through study before I realized psychologists were talking about narcissism so much. Correlate it back to Baal and Jezebel and I forget the king, the biblical king in relation to that time period, but I posted it actually on my Twitter feed at Blue Christyl. So it's since not there, and I don't think I removed it, but I did, post other things that probably moved it out of the way. But nevertheless, there was a linkage that I made between Baal, the cult of Baal, Jezebel, and the the evil going on in Babylon, I believe, at the time, in biblical time. So it's not so different today, okay? And I think even maybe the city of Ephesus was dealing with this type of, you know, um, narcissism. And I've learned also too that this narcissism does, uh, as they try to gain more quote unquote power, they actually end up going toward control rather than inner power. And that leads into this sociopathy and psychopathy, which is what war and predation and sexual trafficking and human trafficking is aligned to. And that is the kind of energy that was coming toward me more. So, the bottom of the deck, we have another abundance card here. Okay. So, once you align with your chakras and work through things that have been submerged emotionally as well as mentally, you'll begin to realign your chakras naturally. And things that were submerged through DNA and karmic experience will tend to heal. And I've gone through this healing process too. And I was around a lot of this overseas at a lot of military bases, military functions. In fact, remind me of this. These people in gowns and such. I was at a, Air Force ball in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, by 2008. I think it was November of 2008. And I decided this is not for me. So I'll talk more about Hollywood and stars in card number 3, where, I just remind people that Hollywood is not true north, and to find your own true north. Okay. So that's real abundance, not the fake stuff. Okay. So that's what we're getting at here. Discernment of what is valuable on our planet. Animals are valuable. Children are valuable. Not where and when you're going to buy your next clutch purse or gown or bottle of champagne. Okay? Love and compassion are valuable. Okay? If you don't get a handle on this stuff, it's getting expressed in pretty ugly ways on Earth's surface. And again, I speak from experience being around it in a lot of cities. So the top of the deck is impatience, so it does take time. So abundance isn't, this type of real abundance it takes time. So if you have poor impulse control, which is another form of this vanity, and what social workers were telling me to be really vigilant about, hindsight 2020, it's not about rapid fire decision making, which isn't sensical. It's not logical. Okay. And when you do stuff like that, it brings about a lot of this, which is what was directed at me in Davis, California. So a lot of people making these poor decisions are not enlightened, and they don't have a lot of self-worth, so they have to drag other people down. And that's the orange sacral, sexual, the root and the sacral chakra and the solar plexus are the 3 lower chakras, and that's where a lot of this poor impulse control, poor sexual energy control, and there's a lot of trafficking, human trafficking involved with this lack of self-worth and being pimped out and prostituted out. I mean, they were trying to do some of this stuff to me, and it didn't work, and so they attacked my animals. And they just kept trying to get me down however they could. Because a lot of them are impatient and they want that quick fix. And it is about addiction. And that's where, the deadly sinning is. The lust, the gluttony, the sloth, the vanity, the ego. In the book, A Return to Love, I think it was cited there by Marianne Williamson, who wrote the book in relation to A Course in Miracles. She uses a quote in there, and it says, "The ego is suspect at best and vicious at worst." Okay, and it has everything to do with vanity. So, ask the Ascended Masters for help, be it Kuan Yin, Serapis Bey, the Gold Ray of Christ at Christmas time and thereafter, as you reflect in nature and also about nature, right? Right there, number 3 card. And also about the 12 chakras, that, how we lost our power, how the goddess lost her power, why civilization starts over and over and over and is written about in books like that of Jared Diamond and Guns, Germs, and Steel, and why anthropologists find evidence in the environment for beings like Lucy that I talk about in some of my previous readings as well, in relation to growth. The 9-minute, 12-second reading. Visit that in the links that I've posted, and you'll see over and over again how things have started and started again and started again. It's because we have to evolve, and we are evolving, and the really cool thing about it right now is hope is the course of action, okay? Not nuclear warheads, not war. And so I think I'm going to ask for a few tarot cards. I almost forgot about this earth force and hope, okay, as we reflect about the viciousness and the intent to be vicious that has been veiled, which the winged wise ones, including the eagle, would like to talk to us about, okay? And the walrus is reminding us to be ever vigilant, as am I. This is getting a little wet. I hope it doesn't bubble up too much. Okay, I don't like it when these get wet. So after I do this part of the reading for the past and recent past card, I'm going to take a break overnight, and I'll come back tomorrow, Christmas Day, at some point, and try to finish talking about cards 2 and 3, which are autumnal equinox, release, releasing the old growth or the old leaves so you can prepare for spring, and, keeping Goddess Freya in mind, and the goddess reading that I posted, the 3 goddesses that came through just prior to this Earth is Magical reading. Spirit, can I have a couple of cards, please? Or however many you suggest that come through to talk about the winged wise ones in animal form and also in angelic form, about this strong message of reflection and vanity and what is fake and illusion, and releasing this illusion once and for all. Releasing the fog so that we can celebrate in the springtime. Queen of Swords, resilience among the sharks, which is similar to the walrus, right? And I must say, it's Libran Venusian energy, right? I think the Queen of Swords in Tarot does correlate with Libra. Certainly it's an air sign. Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. But I think the Queen of Swords is Libran. So we must remain vigilant, perhaps about a Libran. Are there any other cards? And I must say too that it's important to affirm your protection of animals. I honor and respect all animals. All animals. Queen of Swords too cuts through the bullshit, okay? If she's honest. She's not in reverse, which is a good thing. And so my reading last year, the Celtic Cross, the Queen of Swords was coming through in the Archangel Power Oracle, Archangel Power Tarot deck. Queen of Swords cutting through the shit, okay? And that's what I've had to do as a Libran. But I can tell you there are many Librans in high places in politics, and they are not about justice. They're the opposite. They're the shadow of justice. They want the authority, but they don't believe in true justice or true north or true cross. Okay? And this includes what is happening at the border, the U.S.-Mexico border. And I'll just leave it at that for now. Are there any other cards coming through about hope and communion between humans and animals to help the animals on our planet? Remember, Archangel Haniel is feminine, and so is Kuan Yin. And also that Archangel Raphael is here in masculine energy, communicating to us about earth force to heal the planet. So you can see we have a feminine and a masculine archangel energy both coming through, concerned about the plight of our planet, because our planet is in red right there. Our planet is burning. And I've actually taken pictures of that as evidence as well, looking west toward California. Are there any other messages, tarot related messages in relation to the crystals or the winter solstice reflection card? I think that's all. I think what Archangel Haniel and Raphael want to say is that the Queen of Swords involved here is a resilient Queen of Swords who is speaking as I am and through me as a force to be reckoned with. Okay? So from the past, recent past, to the next part of this reading, we're shifting gears to release the old that must, be recycled so that a new day can dawn, a new earth can be birthed. And the Queen of Swords will see to it that it gets done. And thank goodness this Queen of Swords is cutting through this vanity too, and that she's been resilient. It's very interesting that no other cards are really coming out. I just want to know if there's any clarification then about this Queen of Swords. Let's ask Spirit if there's any other specific Queen of Swords resilience clarification that needs to come out at this time. Spirit saying to just reflect. Just reflect on the earth force and reflect on the difference between those who have no hope for whatever reason, and the importance of reinstilling or instilling hope in the new earth force, the new earth that's coming about. And look at it, it looks pretty magical to me. So you might want to study up on the crop circle messages. They've always intrigued me, but I never got hung up on whether they're a conspiracy or not, because I do know that I've already been communing with other beings, otherworldly beings, so surely there is the likelihood that they're leaving these signs and omens too, just as the card that came through reminding us of that, the walrus, to be vigilant, but also in one of the subsequent parts of this reading, it's reminding us too about omens and signs, and that's what the crop circles have been over the past several years, getting our attention. So, Seven of Swords, loss is on the bottom. So, Seven of Swords again has the sharks, and they're the players. They're the pay-to-play players trying to steer our economies down the tubes so they can have more, which is, it's just straight up crazy. And there's another shark on the top of the deck, which is restriction, which is what I was talking about in relation to Galileo, and also in relation to the human trafficking, imprisonment, enslavement, and also the tricksters in the medical system involving COVID. Okay, there's sharks, no doubt, and there's conflict. Another swords card. Yep. So there's swords, a lot of swords here, which is mental battles, which also translate into physical battles. 5 to 7 of swords. 5 of swords is battles. That was coming through. Which reading was that? I think it was the Nostradamus, the Tarot of Nostradamus, when I clarified the 5 swords came out. I'm almost sure of it. So do watch my full moon partial lunar eclipse reading involving the lost tarot, or the lost tarot of Nostradamus and the monster. I didn't release the last part of that reading because God is in control, okay? God's in control of the situation. All right, so read Psalm 57:1 and seek refuge during the winter solstice, a time of reflection, because there are players here playing battles, and the Nine of Wands is here in relation to defense. The Defense Department, more than likely, who's disputing having faith-based messages on dog tags as I speak. And many of them are sharks full of ambition. There's the King of Swords. Yep, so, you know, they want more war, essentially. They want more war, which is just straight up insanity when you see the damage that's already been caused over more than 2 decades in the most recent past. And I'm a witness, a direct eyewitness to that, and the demonic possession behind it, and the alien influence that correlates back to the Hitler legacy and World War II. So I'm going to read about the Queen of Swords, and then I'm going to sign off. Okay? Please find time to locate Masaru Emoto's information about messages in water, specifically crystal structures in water. That would be snowflakes or ice crystals. I think you'll be fascinated to see that, nature does have emotion and feeling, and animals certainly do. Animals in the womb tell us so. You can find that on the History Channel and on YouTube. Queen of Swords. She's front and center like she was last December in my readings. Again, like I said, she was in my Celtic Cross reading. The Queen is highly intelligent and driven. She commands respect. She holds her ground and puts her interests first. She's charming but does not suffer fools. She can see the truth of any situation in a flash. This card often comes up in a reading to show strong women, business leaders, independent females, and single parents. If she comes up as you in a reading, it's time to show your strength of character. Advice: be prepared to make strong decisions or to respond to a final decision made by a woman. Keywords: intelligence, independence, leadership, insight, intolerance, determination, and justice. Be prepared to make strong decisions. Yeah, because there's a lot of battles around. Seven of Swords. There's a lot of players involved, a lot of sharks. The Seven is known as the Thief card of Tarot because it reveals something that was taken from you or lost. Often it validates your suspicions, so if your intuition is telling you not to trust, then follow it. Investigate the detail rather than to agree to an offer straight away. So investigate. Wait until you have all the evidence that is actually genuine. This card asks you to take extra care of your possessions and to protect yourself from negative people who drain your energy, which is just what I was talking about. Intuition, mistrust, decisions, theft, negative people. And just the other day I saw averting theft. So, I know that this energy is still being directed at me because I'm vocal about what needs to be addressed, okay? So, I'm going to leave it at that. But the difference between the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords is the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords is, basically at a crossroads of the conflict. So that is what I'm saying. We're at a vulnerable time of crossroads. But there is hope here. Despite a lot of loss and deception, there is a lot of hope. And there's going to be real abundance coming through over winter, okay? So it'll be interesting to see what manifests. The Hermit card, let's see, Passion is here in the orange as well. So use your passionate energy wisely. And this is like the Hermit card, Isolation, okay? Isolation. Follow your passion during the winter, and you will see the fruits of your labor in relation to, restriction. Restriction is what we've been dealing with and continue to deal with. So let's hope that this COVID issue also gets resolved over the winter time. And I'm going to sign off. And these flowers, the ranunculus, are here. I put them out to show how beautiful things are going to bloom in the spring with the rich soil. Okay? Namaste. I'll be back to talk about the second card, which is autumnal equinox and release. Namaste.